Yo, so guys, welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to maps that help you understand the world. I love a map video, we've got one here, and that's pretty much it, to be honest. I'm not even going to talk through this intro. Let's just get into this. Links are in the description to my Instagram, my Twitter for those who want to follow me. Same for my Discord if you want extra reactions that I can't post to YouTube for whatever reason. But let's just jump into this. I like this channel a lot.
I don't even know how to introduce these anymore. I just found really cool maps that give us interesting information about the world, so here they are, starting with the two on the thumbnail. First, we have a map for the average annual tea consumption per capita in Europe. Essentially, as we can...
Is this the highest? Turkey? Actually, Turkey, yeah, they do like their tea, don't they? Don't they have their own... Is it like a Turkish tea? That's not actually a surprise. I did sort of know that they love their tea there. The UK is second, and Ireland's sort of around us. Yeah, Ireland's sort of the same as well. Where's the least? Portugal?
See
Romania?
on the bar on the left. The darker the color, the more tea each country consumes. The darkest purple means on average that country would consume 4 kilograms of tea per person. The map stretches a little into North Africa and the Middle East as well, and thankfully so, because apparently these are very high tea consuming countries. Turkey seems to rank first, followed by the UK and Ireland. Then comes Russia and Iran, and then Morocco, Egypt, and Poland. Germany, the Netherlands, Ukraine, Czechia, and Switzerland follow. And then the rest of Europe with available data is in the yellow, meaning they consume probably less than 1 kilogram of tea per person per year. The least tea consuming seem to be Greece, Denmark, Belgium, and Portugal. I personally like tea a lot, and tea seems to be a big thing here, so I don't know, maybe these aren't very accurate. A good moment to remind you to always look at these maps and data with
and my girlfriend's obviously from Romania, and she loves tea. Obviously this doesn't stand for everyone, but she likes tea 10 times more than me.
Thinking. Don't just assume it's right because it's presented nicely and widely distributed online.
Yeah, true.
The second map on the thumbnail is about each US state's contribution to the GDP. Essentially, which states generate the most money through their bigger economies. This is referring to the third quarter of the year of 2019, so keep in mind that data may have changed, and this is only referring to the last quarter of a year, but I think the tendency might be representative. As we can see on the scale above, the darker the color, the more that state contributes to the US GDP. The top contributors are California, by far the number one with 14.6%, followed by Texas, and then New York, 8.8% and 8.1% respectively. The green range is kind of too large compared to the others, and within it we have 4 more states that are far below Texas or New York, but above the rest. Florida at 5.1%, Illinois at 4.2%, Pennsylvania at 3.8%, and Ohio at 3.3%. Oh, and Washington too, although I don't have the number for that.
Pennsylvania being 3.8%, I don't know if that's surprising, but I wouldn't have guessed Pennsylvania as being in the top 7. We can
clearly tell that the coasts are the richest, although the Northeast not so much. The interior of the US contributes only between 0.2 to 1% of the total GDP.
Las Vegas isn't in it either. What? Oh, Las Vegas, sorry, Nevada, but Las Vegas is in Nevada. That's not even in. That's crazy. I guess because the only real attraction is that city, but still I thought that city makes loads
per state, with a couple exceptions in light green here and there. This next map is really interesting, and it shows us the influence that the Roman Empire still has on countries today. It lists out 7 attributes that were used during Roman times: the Gregorian calendar, the Latin alphabet, Catholic religion, a Roman-like legal system, the usage of Romantic languages, a type of Roman governance, republics, and if they are within the historic borders of Rome. Now, all this is highly questionable from my perspective. Catholicism wasn't invented by the Romans, despite them contributing a lot to its expansion. Republics weren't invented by the Romans either. In fact, the Roman Republic was only a part of Roman existence before they became an empire, amongst many things. So I wouldn't see these attributes as being inheritances we have from the Romans, but more things about our states today that are similar to what the Romans also had. Still, it's interesting to see. The darker the red, the more attributes the country shares with the Romans. We can see Southern Europe, Southern America, and West Africa are the most similar within these.
Is that in terms of like language and stuff, right? For like Europe, definitely languages for Europe.
Attributes. Southern Europe,
And obviously it's also just where it was.
because of the direct historical connection with the empire. Southern America as the grandsons of the Romans, if you will, since their states are highly influenced by Portugal and Spain. And West Africa, I think, following a similar logic. Next, this map shows us writing direction by country. It's very interesting. The vast majority of the world, in blue, writes from left to right.
What? There are places where they write from right to left. Wait, what? I never knew this was even going to be a thing. See, these little things are so wild, man. And then China and I think Mongolia, left to right or top to bottom. So they write down. What the hell? And Japan as well. And a few like other islands and stuff. And North and South Korea. Wait, what? I did not know this would be a thing.
Even if sometimes using different alphabets. The Arab world, not entirely but in great majority, writes from the right to the left. And only a few countries in Asia, as far as I can tell, China, Mongolia, the Koreas, and Japan, write from left to right or top to bottom. Within these differences, it's interesting that we always write in perpendicular form, if that makes sense. I mean, nobody writes diagonally, for instance, and nobody writes in a circle or with a seemingly random arrangement of letters. It's fascinating how these cultures, so different from each other, although perhaps sharing common origins, all end up writing in such similar ways. This other map connects Europe to the United States. It's not very graphically pleasing to look at. The colors, the map borders, and the font are not ideal, but the information seems interesting if it is accurate. In each
So Utah is most similar to the UK.
European country, we see represented a US state. That US state is the one where that country has the highest percentage of population. Now, this doesn't mean that the majority of people in Maine have French ancestry. What it means is that Maine is the US state in which the percentage of people with French ancestry is the highest when compared to other states. It's interesting to see how some trends exist and how countries share US states as the preferred destination for their people. Portugal and Italy both have Rhode Island, the UK and Denmark, Utah, Germany, Norway and Iceland, North Dakota, Spain, New Mexico, Hungary and Slovenia, both Ohio, Russia and Belarus, New York. Now obviously this data might be completely wrong, keep that in mind. I look at this and think, how is Wisconsin the state with the highest percentage of Polish people? But we have to take into account population number totals of the states as well. Maybe there are more Polish people in New York than in Wisconsin, but a smaller number might represent a higher percentage of the population if Wisconsin has less people than New York. Still in Europe, we have this great map, honestly my favorite of this list, depicting the oldest still functioning universities in Europe. If you want me to make a full video on this, I'd love to.
So, yeah, it's crazy how some of these universities have been there for absolutely ages. Salamanca, 1134. That's older than Oxford. What? 1134. Bologna, 1088. God damn. What's the most recent one?
Discussing the origin of these ancient medieval schools, so let me know in the comments if you'd like to see that. The darker the green, the oldest the university. The oldest of all seems to be Bologna, followed by Salamanca, Oxford, Sorbonne, Coimbra, and Vienna. Italy, Spain, England, France, Portugal, and Austria, respectively. In this orange or pink, we have those which are much more recent, and the most recent of all seems to be Luxembourg's university from 2003.
2003, obviously Luxembourg's a very small country, so that I guess they just went to universities in surrounding countries.
Next we have a paper sizes world map, showing us the most commonly used paper size by country. Almost the entire world.
It's like a split. It's like a sudden split. Obviously there's a few here and there, but
uses A4 measurements, but a few countries, for whatever reason, use a slightly different one. Chile, Venezuela, Colombia, Mexico, the United States, Canada, the Philippines, and some others in Central America use the US letter size instead. I don't get why this is the case, especially in a more and more international context in which each country exists. But I guess it works for them. I even found an opinion when I looked this up saying that the shorter aspect ratio lets you fit more text, graphics, and reasonably oriented material onto a sheet of paper, and this would make US letters better for letters, academic papers, and engineering drawings. Now, I have no idea if this is true, but if so, maybe we're the ones who are wrong using A4. This other map is also worldwide and presents us with a general idea of lactose intolerance throughout the world. Although it presents...
Why is it so much higher here? Is it just because it's been like the doctors have like sort of diagnosed you with it? Maybe it's to do with diagnosis, but like still, why is it so much higher in this area?
In the opposite way, showing the percentage of people that are tolerant to lactose. According to this, most of the world, although I just noticed the map is missing the entire continent of America, would be kind of lactose intolerant, with only small parts of Arabia, West Africa, and especially Northern Europe being extremely tolerant to lactose. I think the dots on the maps are where they conducted research. Again, always question the veracity of this data, but it is interesting that so much of the world would not be entirely tolerant to lactose. Since this last map missed America, let's go to a map about a Southern American country, Brazil. This map shows us the dominant ancestry groups in each Brazilian state, essentially the opposite of that map we saw for Europe.
God damn, see, it's weird to see that there's like people of Polish and like Syrian descent who live in like Brazil. I never really thought about it. Obviously Portugal, Italy, Spain are countries that I'm like, yeah, I can see that I can sort of, I would have assumed that, but a lot of the other ones, I knew Japanese, I knew there was a bit of a Japanese sort of culture there. But like Lebanon, I didn't know these. German even, I wouldn't know that.
Here, each state shows us what the biggest ancestry group is within it. Most of them are Portuguese, which makes sense since the country used to be a Portuguese colony, but there are also 5 states of indigenous and or African descent. The second biggest ethnicity is Italian, followed by Spanish. Germans also occupy a big amount, although only being in the majority in one state in the south, and surprisingly, people of Lebanese ancestry are, according to this, very common in Brazil, although not being the biggest group in any state. Next, we're back to a worldwide map depicting the most commonly used electrical outlets. Now, the legend for this map is a little confusing. It has 13 different types of outlets, but then they are color-coded in groups. I honestly don't fully understand the point of grouping them up. Maybe it's because those with the same color, despite being different, are compatible. If so, we can see that most of the world uses outlets of the light blue type. North America, Central and Northern South America use those of the orange type, as does Japan.
Oh, to be fair, there's actually a few that use the UK type. I was surprised. I thought it was just us and the Irish type as well.
And Taiwan, the Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. Australia, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, Argentina, and a part of China use the dark blue types. India, South Africa, Namibia, and Sri Lanka use the pink type, and the UK and a lot of its former colonies in Africa, as well as Burma and Malaysia, use the purple type. This is something that is so annoying, although I imagine there's some logical explanation for it.
But a lot just use the blue type. It's just dominating the world.
Why doesn't the entire world just have one common, or at least
it's a money-making method, right?
Of electrical outlets? And finally, to end this video, a map of Australia, showing us in which areas we can naturally find a platypus, which is completely pointless for this video,
that's so cute,
but
man.
A platypus is a cool animal, so do what you will with this incredibly useful information. This was the second video of these kind of statistics.
I enjoy these videos, man. I love map videos, but this channel was very good. I like how he just puts it all together. It's just quite a fun little watch. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this one. If you want more map videos, let me know in the comments and I'll be sure to do so. And yeah, until next time, like, subscribe.